attract your mercy. Then he says, Bhuri Karunya. So he says that you are very, very merciful. So because of that, my lack of qualifications will be overlooked. Then he says that Tamasupana. He says, I am in the mode of ignorance. I am in the body of an elephant. But he says, you are muktaya, which means that you are transcendental to the modes, and you are capable of giving one the ability to transcend the modes. Right? In the Isupnishad, there is that verse that glorifies Krishna as being prophylatic and antiseptic, which means that he protects and he grants protection also. So he says that you are muktaya. Then he says, in your partial feature as Paramatma, you know my inner heart. So, while I have so many lack of qualifications, I have a little bit of sincerity. And then finally, he is putting his praise at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord himself. Right? So Srila Prabhupada writes a very interesting purport to this. He says that the qualification of Gajendra is that while he is an animal, he recognizes he is an animal. In this age of Kali, everybody is an animal, but they don't realize that they are animals. And so he quotes the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam that a human, so this is 10th canto, 84:13. A human being who identifies the body made of three elements as the self, who considers the byproducts of his body to be his kinsman, who considers the land of his birth to be worshipable, and who considers the place of pilgrimage simply to bathe, rather than to meet men of transcendental knowledge, should be considered to be like a cow or an ass. So this is Sukadeva Goswami speaking. So when you read the verse, then you feel that it's a verse of glorification. That you consider the land of your birth as worshipable. It's a strong nationalist feeling. And you go to the place of pilgrimage to take bath. You know, that's where most of the people go. But then he has this habit saying that you go to take a bath, but not to meet men of transcendental knowledge. So really speaking, that's the purpose of Tirtha. Sukadeva Goswami in another place also says that people who just go to take a bath, they are no better than asses. Same thing is there. Because the real purpose of Tirtha is that people who are spiritually advanced congregate there, and they can give knowledge to those who are looking to make spiritual advancement. If somebody simply goes there, takes a bath and comes back, they will get some benefit, but it's like you have the opportunity for $1 million, you get $1. Okay, the verse says, my Lord, those who are completely free from material contamination always meditate upon you within the cores of their hearts. You are extremely difficult to attain for those like me who are too attached to mental concoction, home, relatives, friends, money, servants, and assistants. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, uncontaminated by the modes of nature. You are the reservoir of all enlightenment, the Supreme Controller. I therefore offer my respectful obeisance unto you. So he talks about those who can and cannot think about the Lord. Right? So those who themselves are transcending the modes or have already transcended the modes, they can think about the Lord. But those who are still within the material conception, So Gajendra says for them the Lord is very, very difficult to attain. Okay, next verse. After worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, those who are interested in the four principles of religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation obtain from him what they desire. What then is to be said of other benedictions? Indeed, sometimes the Lord gives a spiritual body to such ambitious worshippers. May the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is unlimitedly merciful, bestow upon me the benediction of liberation from the present danger and from the materialistic way of life. So, now Gajendra is not that much interested in being freed from the crocodile. Right? His main focus now is that because even after the crocodile, he is freed from the crocodile, he says, I'll still be caught up in this materialistic life. Right? So what's the point? If not this crocodile, then some other form of the material nature will come and catch him. But he's putting both the things. He's being very honest. He's saying, free me from the crocodile if you want, but really speaking, free me from this materialistic way of life. So there's one verse in the Bhagavatam that captures this very famous verse in Bhagavatam.
Yada yada vipada.
No, it's not that one. Come to the first canto. Akama sarvakama moksha chamaka. Tivrena Krishna yogena vijati purusham param. Right? So, akama sarvakama. Whether you are without desires or full of material desires, moksha kamana. Or whether you are desiring liberation, tivrena bhakti yogena. That by the performance of devotional service to Yajati Purusham Param, back to the Supreme Lord. So, many times devotees ask that is it okay to go to Krishna for material desires? This verse, Bhagavatam is saying yes. It is okay to go to him for material desires. Right? And Krishna will fulfill it according to what is best for us. Right? Doesn't mean that he'll fulfill all the material desires, but he'll fulfill it in a way that satisfies our desires and also gives us spiritual advancement. Next two verses, 20-21. Unalloyed devotees who have no desire other than to serve the Lord worship him in full surrender and always hear and chant about his activities, which are most wonderful and auspicious. Thus, they always merge in an ocean of transcendental bliss. Such devotees never ask the Lord for any benediction. I, however, am in danger. Thus, I pray to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is eternally existing, who is invisible, who is the Lord of all great personalities such as Brahma, and who is available only by transcendental bhakti yoga. Being extremely subtle, he is beyond the reach of my senses and transcendental to all external realization. He is unlimited, he is the original cause, and he is completely full of everything. I offer my obeisances unto him. So previous verse, Gajendra was talking about Mishra Bhakti. In this he is talking about Shuddha Bhakti. Both the cases he is saying I am not qualified. He spoke about the Mishra Bhaktas, but saying that I am not at that level. And now he is talking about Shuddha Bhakta, also saying I am not at that level. But then why is he even talking about this? The reason he is talking is that he is hoping to invoke the mercy of the Lord. So it's like I go to somebody who is very powerful and say that you can give anybody $1 million if you want. $1 million is nothing for you. I want only $10, but you don't have to give me $10, but you can give $1 million. So he is glorifying the Lord, but at the same time he is laying stake to himself. So the mood is that he is while he is acknowledging his lack of qualifications. So that's why the Gajendra Moksha prayers are so relevant to practicing devotion. Right? We can all relate to. We don't have Shuddha Bhakti, maybe different grades of Mishra Bhakti. Then we are pragmatic enough to understand that we are not there yet. But we have also the understanding that the Lord's mercy can transcend all our shortcomings. Right? So Gajendra is exemplifying that mood. Like you can only be worshipped by pure devotees. I am not a pure devotee. I am trying to worship you. So if you think I have some qualifications, give me your mercy. Sorry, Prabhuji. I think there is another mic in there. So he glorifies the Lord as Aksharam. What does Aksharam mean? Akshara is
Fallible. Fallible.
Akshara is fallible. Akshara also means
Not
something that
decay.
can be destroyed.
Yeah, can never be.
Aksharam is you are eternally existing. He says you are avyaktam. Right? Avyaktam means that very silent. Like, invisible. In the Upanishad that the Lord is very close to his devotees and very far from the devotees. Then he says Parampara Isha. So Ishas are the controllers, like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and he is Parampara Isha. So he is beyond the Ishas. So all these they get their power from Lord Vishnu, and Krishna is even beyond Parampara Isha. Then he says that you are Adhyatmika Yoga Brahma. So Adhyatmika is making the point that only by the process of Adhyatmik Yoga, which is devotional service, can he be attained. Then Sukshana, very, very subtle. Anantam, unlimited. Adyam, the cause of everything. And Paripuranam, that he is full of everything. Okay. Next we have 3 verses together, 22, 23, 24. The Supreme Personality of Godhead creates in minor parts and parcels. The Jiva Tattva, beginning with Lord Brahma, the demigods and the expansions of Vedic knowledge, Sham, Rig, Yajur and Akarva, and including all of the living entities, moving and non-moving, with their different names and characteristics. As the sparks of a fire or the shining rays of the sun emanate from their source and merge into it again and again, the mind, the intelligence, the senses, the gross and subtle material bodies, and the continuous transformations of the different modes of nature all emanate from the Lord and again merge into Him. He is neither demigod nor demon, neither human nor bird nor beast. He is not woman, man, or neuter, nor is he an animal. He is not a material quality, a fruitive activity, a manifestation, or a non-manifestation. He is the last word in the discrimination of neti, not this, not this. And he is unlimited. All glory is to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these 3 verses, Vishnu Chakravarti says that they describe the perfect nature of the Lord. So one thing that you pay attention to, which will come later on, He's saying that you are the cause of the minor and the minor parts and parcels. So in this is including the devas. So when the devas hear this, they get very upset at Gajendra, saying that he's calling us minor parts and parcels. Because from the tattva, Krishna has major parts and parcels and minor parts and parcels. What are the major parts and parcels of Krishna?
Swayam, Swayam, what?
The Vishnu tattva.
Vishnu tattva.
The Vishnu tattva. Where Krishna expands directly. Lord Balram, Sankarshan, Sadyam, Anirudh. These are the major parts and parcels. The minor parts and parcels are jivas, in which Gajendra also includes the devas, all the way to Brahma. Right? So devas, Jiva Goswami says, when the devas hear this, they say he's calling us minor, let the crocodile pull him under the water. Yeah, so they won't come in. Okay, verse 25. I do not wish to live anymore after I am released from the attack of the crocodile. What is the use of an elephant's body covered externally and internally by ignorance? I simply desire eternal liberation from the covering of ignorance. That covering is not destroyed by the influence of time. So now Gajendra is openly stating his claim on liberation. Right? He is saying that I do not wish to live anymore after I am released from the attack of the crocodile. So you see two things in the mood of Gajendra over here. One is, and this is, so like I said, in 28 verses, he goes from a practicing devotee to a perfected devotee. So one of the qualities of surrender is faith that Krishna will always protect me. So now he's not even questioning whether I will be saved from this crocodile or not. He is taking that for granted, that Krishna will protect me. That's not even up for debate in his mind. Right? So he's saying that I do not wish to live anymore after I am released. He's not saying if I am released, right? So Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur puts this he interprets it as a dialogue, saying that the Lord says that you are first asking to be freed from a crocodile. Is that what you want? Gajendra says, not really. Not anymore. What's the point in being free from this crocodile if I continue to be covered by the moles? Okay, verse 26. Now, fully desiring release from material life, I offer my respectful obeisances unto that Supreme Lord, that Supreme Person who is the creator of the universe, who is himself in the form of the universe, and who is nonetheless transcendental to the cosmic manifestations. He is the supreme knower of everything in this world, the super soul of the universe, and is the unborn, supremely situated Lord. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So from this verse onward, he starts summarizing what he has spoken in the past. All these qualities he had spoken in the past. Now he is summarizing them. Verse 27. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme, the Super Soul, the Master of Mystic Yoga, who is seen in the core of the heart by perfect mystics, when they are completely purified and freed from the reactions of fruitive activity by practicing Bhakti Yoga. Right? So, the previous verse, it summarized the qualities of the Lord. This verse summarized the way to the Lord. Right? He is saying Bhakti Yoga is the only way. Even though he mentioned mystic yogis, but the mystic yogis, it's not that they only worship the super soul. Right? In the third canto, when Lord Kapila is instructing his mother, he starts speaking about the mystic yogas. And then he says there are three kinds of mystic, at least there are four kinds of mystic yogas. There are the materialistic yogas who just want, yogis who just want siddhis, anima, lagima, garima, all those cool materialistic powers. There are those that meditate on the Brahman. There are those that meditate on the Paramatma. And then there are those that meditate on Bhagavan. And then he speaks upon how the yogi can meditate on the body of the Supreme Personality of God. Right? So it's not that mystic yogis are automatically always Paramatma worshippers. Depending on where their nishtha is, their samadhi is focused in that direction. Verse 28. My Lord, you are the controller of formidable strength in three kinds of energy. You appear as the reservoir of all sense pleasures and the protector of the surrendered souls. You possess unlimited energy, but you are unapproachable by those who are unable to control their senses. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you again and again. So he described the Lord, he described the path to the Lord, he is describing the obstacles in that path. Right? So he talks about those who are deluded by the three modes, those who are not able to surrender to the Lord, those who are unable to control their senses, those who are not interested in getting the mercy of the Lord, and finally those who are addicted to sense pleasures. Says, for these people, you are not attainable. So these are he's putting them as the obstacles to the path of, the easy path of bhakti. As it is easy, but for those who have one or more of these contaminations, it is difficult. And finally we come to the last verse. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by whose illusory energy the jiva, who is a part or parcel of God, forgets the real identity because of the bodily concept of life. I take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose glories are difficult to understand. So what is this describing? Gajendra. He described the Lord, he described the path, he described the obstacles. Now he's talking about himself and he's talking about us. That those, even though they are part and parcel of the Lord, they have forgotten the real identity. And because of that, they are completely in the bodily concept of life. For them, the Lord is difficult to attain. Right? So he ends with again dying. Right? So he was making all these claims that I need to go back to Godhead, and now my freedom from this crocodile is a given. All I'm asking for is liberation. This is actually the mood of a devotee. That a devotee simultaneously has humility and pride. What does the devotee have pride in?
Lord himself. Lord himself.
Yeah, close. What does the devotee have pride in? Connection with the Lord? The Lord's protection. Yes. Bhakti.
Reciprocation.
Perfect is
The
master.
empowerment of it. So there is a pastime of a disciple of Shripal Acharya by the name of Govinda. So people would come to him and say, Govinda, you sing very well. And he says, I actually sing excellent. I'm a great singer. And somebody would come and say, Govinda, you cook well. He says, everything I cook is nectar. So after some time, the other, his god brothers, he was a disciple of Shripal Acharya. and he was a favorite of them also. So they went and complained to him that Guru Maharaj, you keep saying that humility is important, but we don't mean to complain, but this Govinda has been boasting all the time. Right? So Ramacharya calls Govinda, said, have you been saying that? He said, yeah, I've been saying that. He said, but you have to be humble, you can't say things like that. He says, Guru Maharaj, before I met you, I had no qualifications. If somebody glorifies my qualification, I understand, it's because of the mercy that is manifesting in me. So I feel that they should glorify your mercy even more. Right? So Ramacharya said, yeah, but don't go on saying that. Not everybody can get that mood. So that's the pride in the devotees. Right? That's the pride that like Srila Prabhupada, right? He said that you should address me as His Divine Grace. Right? Now many people would mistake this as pride, and that they are saying that he's very exalted, divine grace. But actually, what does His divine grace mean? It means that the His has a capital H, that he has received the grace of the Lord. Prabhupada, that's my only qualification. That's why he would say, I'm His divine grace. Right? Not that I am your divine grace, but I have received the divine grace of the Lord. Right? So that is the pride, and it kind of even in practicing devotees like us, it manifests one way or the other. It's a slightly humorous anecdote that once I was in the temple many years ago. This was, I think, back in the 90s. We had this really ecstatic kirtan. The person who was singing ecstatically, mridanga, kartals, right? And there was a devotee from Mayapur also. He was there. And after the kirtan and all was finished, I turned to him and I said, wasn't that a fantastic kirtan? And after some time he says, the person who was singing was shouting. The person who was playing the mridanga was beating it like anything. And the person who was beating the kartal, he was literally banging on it. It was like he was banging on my eardrums. But he says that is the mercy of the Lord. And the person who is thinking is actually thinking that I am a Gandharva. Right? The person who is playing the mridanga is thinking so melodious. The person who is doing the kartal is thinking like, how wonderful I am. Right? So it's not that they are deluded. It's not that they are, they are tone deaf. It's the mercy. It's the mercy of the Lord that gives them this, that any little quality that I have has manifested because of the mercy of my Guru and Krishna. So it's not my quality anymore. It's the quality of the Lord, right? And because they are proud of Krishna, there's nobody better than Krishna in this world. They are proud of the little quality that has manifested in them. So with that, we end with the Gajendra Moksha. We'll have a little bit of discussion on the lessons from the past time. So Gajendra was previously King Indradumna of the Pandya region in the Dravida Desh, right? And he was cursed by Agastya Rishi, because when Agastya Rishi came, then Indradumna was in meditation and he did not get up to breathe. What are the lessons that we can get from this?
Honoring.
So that is the root of the pastime. The whole pastime, it unfolds from Vaishnava. And because if you look, there are so many secondary things that happen. But the root of it is, he offended a devotee. And Sukadeva Goswami, he goes out of his way to address Agastya Rishi as Bhagavan in the verse. To make sure that we understand there is no fault of Agastya Rishi. And somebody might say, well, he was meditating, Agastya Rishi was proud what it was. In Kram Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami makes this point. Doesn't give the soul, but he says that Indradumna was habituated to offending Brahmins. And Agastya Rishi, he was compassionate to Indradumna, and seeing that if he continued on that path, he would reach a point where there would be no way for him to be redeemed. So out of compassion, he cursed Maharaj Indradumna. So it talks about Vaishnava Praj, talks about the nature of the mercy of the devotees. And because if you go and say the cursing of Indradumna was the mercy of Agastya Rishi, in itself it is difficult to see that. But when you see it in the bigger picture, this was a personality who was committing offenses. But he was sincere in his desire to make spiritual advancements. And this is how the mercy of an advanced devotee manifested. It was, in the past time it is written that Gajendra would regularly come to that Sarovar to take a bath. It says that Sarovar Abhyasam, which is why he was careless in going into that lake. Right? The lesson is that just because something is happening over and over again does not mean that it is secure. Just because we get up every day morning doesn't mean that we will get up tomorrow morning. So it's not just because everything is going on that it will keep going on. And Bhima makes this point, right, that we all think that we all know that we will die, but we think that we will not die tomorrow. And that is why that is another way of thinking we are immortal. And because Yudhishthira, somebody came to us, charity from Yudhishthira, he said, I'll give it to you tomorrow. And Bhima said, oh, Yudhishthira has become immortal. Because he thinks that he will be alive tomorrow. So every day you think you're alive tomorrow never comes. So this time when Gajendra went into the lake, he was bitten by the crocodile. Sukadeva Goswami says that he was excessively agitating the water. But in the very next verse, Sukadeva Goswami, he says Deva Chodita and Yadrichaya. Right, so Deva Chodita means that by divine providence. And Yadricha means occurring due to providence. So one can understand that this was the hand of Krishna. That Gajendra externally may have been the cause of the crocodile coming to bite him. But actually it was Yadrichaya. It was divine providence. So the lesson is, we may forget the Lord, but the Lord will never forget us. When Gajendra was abandoned by his friends and family, even his wives. The lesson is that at the time of death, you die alone, regardless of whoever is there around you. Gajendra was much stronger than the crocodile, yet the crocodile prevailed. The lesson here is that Gajendra was out of his element and the crocodile was in his element. So, if you are able to act according to our swabhava, then we can flourish. And this is a lesson in bhakti also. That if we execute devotional service, understanding our strengths and weaknesses, then we can flourish. Okay, now this is an interesting point that I'd like to hear your thoughts. That for 1,000 years, Gajendra was alone in the Sarovar with an envious crocodile trying to pull him down. He had no association. How did he become a devotee?
From his past life. From his past life.
Past life, that helps. Past life was even there at the beginning of the 1,000 years. Right? So it's not that his past life, his past life was always there. Right?
The circumstances of the adverse situation help him recall his previous.
Okay. So think of it this way, that what are the circumstances that nurture bhakti?
Sometimes being alone is also helps you introspect.
Introspection. Okay. Very good. Okay, Mataji,
Yeah, constant smaran of Krishna during the adversity.
remembering Krishna. Okay.
So he got tired of struggling by himself. He kept fighting to get rid of the crocodile, and then he finally surrendered.
That is true. Mataji?
Becoming hopeless and helpless in that situation where he had the association with the Lord of the heart.
What is the single most potent aspect for taking to devotional service?
Association of devotees.
Association. That is why he became a devotee. Because he had association of the crocodile. Now the crocodile was not a devotee, but the crocodile represented that which takes one to devotion. So look at it, for 1,000 years he is hanging out over there. All he has is this crocodile there. Gajendra is looking at the crocodile and saying, this guy is so determined. He just wants, it's not that the crocodile was in a good situation. I mean, the poor guy couldn't eat anything for 1,000 years, right? Because if he opened his mouth, Gajendra would be gone. So all that he has the association for is the crocodile. So in the 13th chapter, 9th verse of Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna talks about the aspects of knowledge, one of the aspects he says is Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Dukha Dosha Anudarshana. That when one gets one understands Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi, birth, death, disease, old age, that they are just when one gets understanding of the miseries that are linked to it, then one becomes, it's an aspect of knowledge that cultivates spiritual knowledge. For 1,000 years, that is what Gajendra was maturing in his realization. Right? Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. That this crocodile, one way or the other, is going to kill him. Then all the points that were made become valid. Based on that, he started developing detachment. Based on that, Anusmriti, he started thinking of his previous life. Based on that, he developed a sense of helplessness. All that happened. So actually, the crocodile is the Vartma Pradakshaka Guru, or the Path Pradakshak Guru of Gajendra. Like, just like we can use death the concept of death to improve our spiritual life. One person may take death and just become completely morose about it. I'm going to die, what's the point, this, that. A devotee can take death and say that, what does death mean for me? Either I get another body and the same thing happens again, or it's an opportunity for me to go back to Bhaktisiddhanta's point. That don't play, I'm paraphrasing, but don't gamble with that. Make it your pathway back to Godhead.
I was just wondering, is it mentioned that he remembered the verse from Agastya Muni and therefore thought of Agastya Muni? Is that anywhere in the commentaries of the Acharya?
It's not mentioned there, but Jiva Goswami mentions that just like King Bharat, as a deer had full memory of his previous life, Gajendra also had full memory of his life as king.
So by this time he remembers the name of the Lord also because he remembers everything.
That's the one point that could not really reconcile. So either in his previous life also he didn't have the realization of Swayam Bhagwan. Right. So in a way he's mentioned as a king who was beginning to embark on spiritual journey. Jiva Goswami elsewhere maintains that Jiva Goswami is quite critical of Hinduism actually. so he mentions also that he was inexperienced, and what he says that he was Falgu Vairagya. He was a premature renunciant. He had still not become qualified enough. That is why I just also got upset. He was still not qualified enough to undertake meditation. He has still not qualified himself. So
did he intentionally commit those Vaishnava apparats?
that's the understanding.
Intentionally?
That he intentionally not only offended Agastya, but Jiva Goswami says that he was habituated to offending Brahmins. Right. Which is why Agastya cursed him. So that he does not continue on that path. But Jiva Goswami doesn't tell, it's not in the Bhagavatam of course, but he doesn't tell his source, where he is quoting from. But he notes it in his, he has a comment, Jiva Goswami has a commentary on the Bhagavatam called Kramasandarbha, in which he only comments on the important verses. He does not comment from all the verses. So I think he comments on maybe 25% of the verses. But one of the verses he comments on is in Ridhuna's verse.
Is the Gajendra only when he was in that struggle period, at that time by Lord's causeless mercy he got the memory back, or all through the life of as a Gajendra he still remember because of course end of the day it is Lord's mercy, but
Lord's
still.
mercy. Yeah. Good question. So again, I'm going by what Jiva Goswami is saying, that he always had memory of his previous life. So even though he was cursed by Agastya, but because of the mercy of Agastya and the potency of the bhakti that it executed, he was Jati Smara. He remembered his life as the king.
There's a little bit in parallel here, Prabhuji, right? Like Draupadi also, when she was trying on her own, Krishna did not come, but when she surrendered fully, then Krishna came. And I think over here also something similar, right? Because Gajendra was trying and then he says, okay.
You're right, he went through that phase, right? Initially he was trying to extricate himself.
Yeah.
Then he turned to his friends and family.
Yeah.
Right, and then he went through this increased stage of desperation. And then finally, when, so to speak, he was completely surrendered, and then he attracted the mercy of the Lord. Good point. Then this one I kind of covered that even though the crocodile was suffering, for 1,000 years it fought with the mighty elephant. It did not eat, sleep, or take rest. So that is the position of Bhayahari. And that she is tirelessly working to keep us in the material world. One slip and she is there to hold us. So only when we accept the purpose, so we see that the mood of Gajendra was that in his entire prayer, he does not ask the Lord to kill the crocodile. Right? Initially he says that you protect me from the crocodile. Right? Then he says you protect me and liberate me. Right? And then he says liberate me, protection I know. He will. He never asks, because by the time he is reciting this prayer, and that's why the Yadrisha word they use, that he understands there's a divine providence. So So similarly, when the jivas, instead of becoming envious of Maya, instead of becoming afraid of Maya or angry with Maya, they say that the reason that Maya Devi is working tirelessly to keep us over here is so that we can be purified when we go back. So then, Maya Devi is not an enemy. And she is the coach. Many times the coach says, do extra push-ups, run the extra mile, and the person thinks that the coach is inflicting pain. This is preparing them for the final competition. Right? Maya Devi is essentially squeezing out all the impurities from us, getting us ready to go back to God. Then the devas could come, but did not. Right? Specifically because they did not see Gajendra calling to them. Right? So this is the limitation of karma kand. That when you do karma kand, and unless you are very, very specific about what you do, you will not get the benefit of it. In bhakti, you do a little bit, you do it like this and that, Krishna will overlook the defects and give us credit for what we did. But actually, Radha Maharaj makes this point that when you are doing karma kand, the devas are very, very carefully listening. Every mantra incantation that is happening, every offering that is happening, anything that goes wrong, they say, aha. Nothing. And they say, okay, let's go somewhere else. Right? Because it's coming out of their pocket. Right? They're not very keen to do it. And and then the devas, they are also, so we see that because they perceived that Gajendra was being dismissive about them, and they also reciprocated that. Now the same devas, when Gajendra was being rescued by the Lord, they started showering flowers on Gajendra. 10 devas who were sitting for 1,000 years, letting him trouble. Right? So when the jiva becomes a devotee, and the same devas who are saying that I can't give you this much I'll give you, but half of it, and this you made a mistake and all that, they are with open hearts and open words. They're glorifying that person.
Should I please ask a question?
Yeah, good.
Yeah. So about the previous point where you said that...
Sorry, Radha, can you be louder?
Yes, please. About the previous point where you said that the crocodile was no longer Gajendra's enemy. And Prahlad Maharaj also talks about no difference between friends and enemies. But in the material world, sometimes we face these adverse situations in relationships where we tend to distance ourselves, or we don't want that association. And then there's the other point of staying in like-minded association. So how do we reconcile finding good association and not having this concept of friends and enemies?
Thank you. It's a very good question. So I think this pastime also, to a great extent, kind of gives us an understanding of that Gajendra wanted to be free of the crocodile, but he had no hatred for the crocodile. So we may be in situations where people are creating adversities for us. It's okay for us to maintain our distance from them. It's okay for us to avoid association with us. It's not okay for us to hate them, because that hatred consumes us. Right? They're okay with it, right? And many of them are probably, they're happy that you hate them, right? So, more power to them. Look at it this way, that our peace is the most precious commodity we have. If I am able to take control of that, right, I'm actually more powerful than you. Okay? So if I make you hate me so much that you are unable to eat and sleep and function, imagine the amount of power that I have on you. So the process is denying the power to them, and whatever needs to be done, which is maintaining a distance. Sometimes it is correcting the person. Sometimes it's taking shelter of others. So whatever works, the protection should be there. But what does not work is letting it affect your consciousness.
So just to add that, it's just like a Vibhishan Maharaj, how he was staying in Lanka. So with all the Rakshas, and he was only the guy who was just standing there. So it is just like they say that it's like a tongue inside your mouth, like 32 teeth, and tongue is there, but see, it's survived.
Thank you. Okay. In the course of the stotra, we see that Gajendra starts with material desires. That I am in pain because of the crocodile, please give me protection. He moves to mixed. That take away the crocodile, but also help me in escape this materialistic life. And then he finally reaches the stage of that I'm just surrendered unto you. This is the process of bhakti. We start as Mishra Bhaktas, as akama sarvakama. Right? We have a lot of desires. We also have desires for liberation. Also desire for serving the Lord. We also have desires for material things. But in Gajendra's prayers, we see that what was purifying him. So, what was the anga of bhakti that he was executing? Vandanam, right? So, he was executing Vandanam. By executing that anga of bhakti, he was being purified by the process itself. Which is why his desires became purer later on. So it is encouraging for us that even if we have mixed desires, the process works. In his case, it took him only 28 verses. In our cases, it may take 28 lifetimes or 28 years, or depending on what our nishtha is. But the process works. We can see that. We can see that in the case of Gajendra. Then the finally the Lord came rushing on Garuda and went to protect Gajendra. He was in such a hurry that when Garuda reached, now Garuda travels at the speed of mind, right? He travels very fast. But when he reached Gajendra, the Lord felt that he was not traveling fast enough. So he jumped off the back of Garuda and ran even faster than Garuda to Gajendra. And then he reached with his left hand and he caught hold of Gajendra. What was he doing with his right hand?
Chakra.
He had the Sudarshan Chakra and he was cutting off the head of the crocodile. Same time it happened, right? When the devotees are liberated, and then the shackles of the material nature, they break away at the same time as one goes back to God. And the Lord is most enthusiastic in getting us back. So I'll end with the first stuti that the Lord Himself declares. He says that, my dear devotee, unto those who rise from bed at the end of night and offer me the prayers offered by you, I give an eternal residence in the spiritual world at the end of their lives. So Gajendra got Sarupya Mukti. He got a form similar to that of the Lord. And he got residence in Vaikuntha. So our prayers in this auspicious month of Kartik is that we are also able to purify our consciousness by this process of bhakti and attract the mercy of the Lord just like Gajendra. We will stop here and see if there are any discussions.
Even as a question.
Thank you. So I have two questions, Prabhu. So, if crocodiles association resulted into Gajendra's being surrendered to the Supreme Lord and he became a Pratibhadarshaka Guru, then he is also the cause of his death. So how do we reconcile that his prayer resulted to the death of his Pratibhadarshaka Guru?
So, good question. So the point that is made is that it's not so much the crocodile, but the realization that the crocodile gave Gajendra. So the Janma Mrityu Charavyapi Doshanudarshan. That is what the crocodile gave him. So think about Gajendra for 1,000 years in that sarovar, looking at the crocodile, unable to free himself, thinking that I used to be so powerful, thinking that just a few feet away, if this crocodile goes just a few feet away, I can stomp him to death. Right? Gajendra was so powerful, he could have killed the crocodile anywhere else. So look at this crocodile with so much of nishtha. It is pulling me to my death. So the fact that the crocodile was able to generate these realizations in Gajendra, that's why. Otherwise, why didn't he say the prayers right up front? So he's looking at the crocodile for 1,000 years, and looking at all that the crocodile is what does the crocodile stand for? Stands for my death. And then he starts reciting that. So that's why he's not like considered to be a Shiksha Guru who's instructing Gajendra or Diksha Guru who's initiating him. But Pradaksha means that one who shows one the path to spirituality.
I mean, the important point, the enemy can be a Pratibhadarshaka in your spirituality.
Yeah, if in the 11th canto, the Avadhut Brahman, he talks about the 26 gurus. He talks about the snake. He talks about how we can learn. Very similar route.
Another point, probably I missed out. In the beginning, you mentioned about the sarovar has lotus flower, and you said it will come later on. So, I believe everywhere where we see this crocodile and Gajendra Moksha, Gajendra holding a lotus flower, which he offered. So, any significance of that? Is it just the surrenderness, or signifying the worshipping to be more important? Any specific significance of that?
I didn't really know. Well, Gajendra, he only holds the lotus when he sees the Lord. He's not holding the lotus while he's reciting the prayers. After the prayer is finished, when he sees the Lord, then for the first time he names the Lord. Like he says, Om Narayana Akhila Namaste. Right? He says Narayan Akhila Guru, that the spiritual master of the universe, Namaste, there. And then he holds the lotus flower. But other than that, I don't know.
But Prabhuji, just on the same line, is there something that I'm trying to recall in Bhagavatam? There is somewhere that to meditate on God, it is describing that the Lord is having a lotus flower in one of his hands. This could be one of the reasons.
Possible. But it was the lotus flower from the sarovar. It was not the Lord's lotus flower. But yeah. Other thing is that the sarovar is described as having lotus flowers, so he was offering that. Any other thoughts?
It's almost like defying the rule, the rule of the jungle, right? That no matter who's powerful, I mean, it's very clear who was powerful, but like you said, that if those circumstances were to take you somewhere, then take you towards bhakti, it doesn't matter what you're facing. You may be facing somebody who's not powerful, but he's become powerful so that you learn a lesson or you learn something.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Good point. Cool.
Thank you, Prabhu. That was really, really beautiful and instructive. You made a really nice point about how Gajendra knew that the Lord would be merciful to him and would free him from the crocodile. And yeah, I thought that was just wonderful, that was a given. He wasn't doubting whether this will happen. And usually for us, when we are covered by the covering potency of Maya, we doubt whether actually we will be delivered, whether actually we will get out of this. But he knew that he will get out of this, which is wonderful. So I was wondering if you can maybe tell us some pastime Srila Prabhupada or quality of Srila Prabhupada, some instance where he displays this kind of faith in the Lord, that the Lord will take care of him.
Anything. Today morning I was living because yesterday was Prabhupada's Kirobha, so his disappearance day yesterday. So I was listening to a lecture about the qualities of Srila Prabhupada. Maybe I don't know if I'll answer your question directly, but one of the points that was made was that Prabhupada started his life in Calcutta, and then he worked in Allahabad, Lucknow, and Bombay. Now the person was saying, talking about this, saying that this was very, very unusual at that time. That people very rarely left their place of birth. That mostly it was families, they would just grow, joint families, they would grow. And for Srila Prabhupada to do this, it is a reflection of the quality that he will display later on, which is leaving the country. Because in the 60s, for a sannyasi to leave the country was almost unheard of. Right? So it was almost like he was preparing for his preaching. The second interesting point that we made was that Prabhupada, when he was Abhay Babu, he tried so many things, he did not succeed. His wife didn't like him. He didn't like his wife also, but his wife didn't like him. His children were not very close to him. So as a grasta, not at the top of the despite all this that he did, his businesses and all that, he was very moderately successful. He was never very opulent. Right? He had started his pharmacy in Allahabad and a small shop. He started a factory in Lucknow, burned down. Right? Very, very moderately successful. In the prime of his youth. The same person, when he turns 70, he becomes successful beyond the wildest dreams. Foreign country, no money, right? Became so successful that Prabhupada said that people will talk about me for a millennium. Yeah, so successful. That was there. So what do we understand? That success was Krishna's divine grace. Because if you look at it the other way around, if the person was very successful, businessman, grahastha, father, this, that, and became a successful preacher, well, this person has great quality. He was always very successful. It's just an extrapolation of his remarkable investments, achievements in the life, right? But Prabhupada, of course, was a completely surrendered instrument to Krishna. In the Bhagavatam first canto, 14, 15 chapter, there is Arjuna returning from Dwarka after Krishna passed away. Right? And he's pretty much beaten up by everybody. Even those tribals, they kidnapped Krishna's wife and they beat him up. Right? And Arjun says, this is me, Gandhi, the holder of Gandhi. I have the same Gandhi, I have the same Arjun. That I even pleased Lord Shiva by giving back to him. And then he gives a list of his achievements, you know, a pretty big list of his achievements. How he fought over here, there, and this. So now I'm here, I'm standing. These tribals who were basically fighting with sticks and stones, they beat me there. Right? And then he says, why? Because so the point that we made is that the life of Srila Prabhupada clearly indicates the hand of Krishna. When he went to the US, then Krishna's hand was always there, but then for the encoding the pastime, Krishna's hand. Okay, so we'll stop over here.
Like a good
Prabhupada ki jai.